Greetings. How is everybody? So glad you're here today. As we settle in to talk about servant leaders who employ strategy, I'm wondering if you can look back at an experience where your leader was literally in your way. In the past 3 years, I've seen this happen twice. Both of them in a business ownership situation where they had an idea. And they knew what they wanted to do, but there was absolutely no thought of how in the world to bring it about. None. When somebody has an idea, a business does not naturally materialize. So in both of these situations, the leader was literally not a leader of any kind. The time and attention required to create a detailed strategy can bring about the new reality that the servant leader can visualize and imagine so clearly in her own mind. As that servant leader, the vision has to be more than a thought or an idea. And the leader also has to be willing to do the work and not just look for somebody to do the work for them. Every step requires planning before the team needs direction, and it's really important to understand that. Before the team needs direction, the leader's ready and has provided the strategy to stand on. Now, even if you don't have a team yet, the actions to take each day, week, or month must be planned and then executed in the right order. You may have to do that work. Now, one thing I did discover is not everybody can create that plan. And that was surprising to me. I discovered that in my corporate life when my senior manager said, "You know the steps." And I said, "Everybody knows the steps." She says, "No, they don't. I usually have to give the steps to your peers." And I said, "Oh, okay." Sometimes we honestly need insight from people who can do those steps. If you're not able to do the steps, that might be why you're stuck, because you can't see the next step. Now, as a young professional, I can still remember the first time our leaders set forth this huge transformational vision for the corporation. Now, this was a very large corporation. And the entire organization was going to be broken into 39 strategic business units, or SBUs. Now, what did that mean and why were they doing this? In business, once the entire corporation gets to a certain size, you cannot tell what's working. It's too big. So a strategic business unit would be expected to be profitable every single year. So if you broke them down into the 39 logical strategic business units, usually by industry and other disciplines and things like that, you could tell who was making money and who was not. At the end of the year, whoever wasn't making money was either eliminated from the entire thing or assumed into one that was making money. So after they called this play, there were meetings held to discuss the vision and what would actually change in the organization. Now, for me, because of where I was, it didn't really change my daily duties. I was just aware of what was happening. The meetings were actually intended to get everyone excited about the company's bright future, and that's great. So my understanding of communicating a vision would come very clear years later in a totally different corporation when our vice president decided we were going to change our approach to customer support. Now, he realized we were getting customers at a very rapid pace, and these were big customers. So they had a lot of requests, and they outnumbered us ridiculously. And he could just see, we're not going to continue to build buildings. We're not going to continue to hire people because you can't do that. It won't work. So this illustration was put up on the screen by his communications director, and I immediately looked for what we needed to do. And I could see it. It was just plain as day. So how were we going to actually implement the strategy to participate in this evolution that absolutely had to take place? So within a couple of days, really, I met with the team leaders, and together we figured out what we were going to do. We devised our approach. There wasn't any time to waste. because making the adjustment would allow the team to handle the anticipated volume of customer requests. We had to do it fast enough that they hadn't forgotten the meeting we just had, because everybody was in this meeting. So before they forget what that illustration looked like, we had to have a meeting that said, guys, this is what we're going to do. So if we ignored the direction, I knew what was going to happen. The amount of work was going to make our jobs unbearably difficult. It was not going to work. So the strategy that we came up with included the difference in roles for every job title. And it's really important that people who were in the upper job titles took on more responsibility than the junior people. And everybody had a role on our team. Everybody did. And everybody was very clear on what that role was. So they would know what was expected, and the team would work together to make the future come into focus. My job was to remove the obstacles, to protect their work time, and build the associations that would speed up the approval process for the completed work, which meant I had to go to other teams, I had to go to other departments, and make sure we could move what we wanted to move in a timely manner. So the strategy that we devise as leaders also moves us as leaders out of the way. And the team has room to let them work at the best possible place. Because if I don't move far enough out in front of them, the team waits. With a strategy, the team doesn't have to wait, because they know what to do. They have their direction for today because they know what's next. So when we have them understand the whole vision and participate in the development of the strategy, then the team can move forward without my direct intervention in their daily duties. If they have to wait for me, I'm not leading. And that's what I had experienced with these two leaders that would not get out of the way. They had no idea where we were going. So the servant leader is able to lead the team from far enough out in front to stay out of the daily routine. If you're in the daily routine, you're not leading. Leadership absolutely includes getting out of the way. So all of us as leaders, we need peers who are going to challenge us to trust the team to work independently most of the time. Now, those peers can come from a lot of places. Sometimes they're just people we know. Sometimes they're other business owners. Sometimes they're teammates inside a large organization. But we all need peers who are going to say, you're babysitting your team. Back up a little bit. And I said it to more than one peer of mine. You're too close to your team. Move up a little bit and let them move up toward you. They're not going to follow anybody else. They're going to follow you. So give them enough to work with. That's your strategy. So we all need to be aware of the obstacles that the team is going to face. And when we actually move them, their progress won't stop. And it's important that we do that. Leaders are going to find a balance between interfering in the daily duties and being available at the right moments. And that takes some missteps to figure out where that is. If you're absolutely never available, they can't reach you, you're always in meetings, you're always somewhere else, especially with a remote team, they're going to be frustrated. We have to stay close enough to move obstacles so they can keep working on today. Ask more questions. Ask them where you are with respect to them. We want the team to have the tools, the skills, the motivation to do everything within their power to bring about that new future reality. We all want that for them. When we need a fresh perspective, the wise servant leader will ask more questions of the team, of peers, maybe of suppliers, maybe of customers, and most of all, we're going to ask more questions of ourselves. Am I where I need to be as a leader, and is the team wishing I would get further in front and get out of the way? And sometimes that's hard to do. Remember, you're in front of them in time. You need to be worried about next week, next month. Let them worry about today. Thank you for listening and accepting the challenge to be that servant leader in every situation. Have a great day, and I wish you the best.